At Ketobiography, Robin and I aspire to share inspiring stories of healing. We illuminate personal journeys that demonstrate the life-changing power of the ketogenic lifestyle, empowering our listeners with wisdom while building and invite a thriving community. Robin, tell us who our guest is today.
Sure, Natalie. Today's guest joined us just over a year ago on episode 5 of Less of Me Success Stories. If you listen closely to that conversation, you might notice that he was starting to struggle, though he may not have fully realized it at the time. Like many of us, he has faced setbacks but has consistently picked himself back up. I've been closely watching his journey. He has completely rededicated himself to his health and seems to have finally put the pieces together in his personal health puzzle. As a result, he's now reaping the benefits of his hard-earned consistency. I'm looking forward to hearing all about what he has learned and accomplished this year. Please welcome Tim Mallien to Ketobiography. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Robin. Hey, Natalie.
Well, it's so good to have you back because, as I said in the intro, I kind of watched this journey over this past year, although I've seen the whole thing from the start. But to see where you were last year when we were talking, what kind of happened after we had a conversation, and then now where you are, it's like a completely different person, a different outlook. It seems like your goals have just changed overall. So I wanted to have you back so that you can come on and tell us all about what's happened in the past year.
Well, it's been a very, very interesting year. You know, the last time I was on, I was starting to struggle and didn't really realize it quite yet. I kind of left some hints to it, and it wasn't until probably 4 or 5 months later that I realized that I had just kind of hit that second rock bottom. You know, I at one point was at 376 just over 3 years ago, and made a turnaround and got down to about 315, and then the wheels kind of fell off when after a really, really crappy school year, to say the least. And it wasn't even the kids, it was everything else. So it was a lot of stress eating. It was a lot of backsliding, not intending to, and it was a lot of denial. If I'm being completely honest, like I didn't really I kind of knew I was struggling, but I didn't realize I was struggling. It was just one of those where I was deep. I was so deep in it that I didn't even realize it until I kind of hit that. Like I said, hit that second rock bottom, and I gained back almost all the weight I'd lost, save about 15 pounds. So in September, I got to 361, and I was like, hold the phone here. What happened? And I just basically, my wife and I both got really high on the horse quickly, and we went back to the right way of eating and got some more movement. And really, once both of us really dedicated it, really took off from there. So as of this morning, I'm down to 282, which is 94 pounds. And I'm staring down the barrel of 100, which I never thought I would be at. And I was hoping it would be a while ago. It didn't happen, but here I am, and it's just amazing. And even though this school year has sucked even worse, I guess it was finally getting through that struggle that I'm finally at a point where, even though that's not been good, I'm doing way better than I ever thought I would. And now I'm ready to go. And I'm hoping maybe by the end of the year, I'll be under 200. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I should say that's one thing. And here's a clip that you can use for your promo, Natalie, is that at one point I was severely addicted to sugar. I was a slave to sugar. I was fully addicted. It was live, breathe, die by the sugar. And then when I kicked that, I started to live, breathe, and die by the scale. So I transferred one toxic relationship for another, and I had to stop doing that weighing every day because that just made things worse. So once a week, no more, no less. The number is what it is. And finally, the toxic relationships in my life are gone. No more being a slave to the scale every day. No more being a slave to sugar. And most importantly, in my personal life, I should say my professional life, no more being slave to a crappy school. And that's going to be huge for everything.
Well, I'm really curious as to that process of, you were kind of backsliding. How did you notice? What did you notice? And then what changes did you make to get to this point where you're at today?
Well, it was really a subtle change. It was, I was at one point in 4XL shirts, and I got out of them pretty quickly. But then all of a sudden, right towards the end of last summer, those 3XL shirts didn't fit anymore. I mean, I should say they really didn't fit. And next thing I looked at, I was in 4X, and I was looking like a busted can of biscuits in them. Like you could just see you could see the button starting to stretch. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go into 5X. And what happened? I just didn't even realize it. So once I really sat down to making that change, I had to go all in. And then I started going the other way. And now about to be in some shirts, I'm in 2X, some I'm still in 3. It just depends on the cut of the shirt. And believe it or not, I'm in size 34 pants after being in 42. So it's felt really good to be in those smaller clothes again. I haven't been a 34 since 7th, 8th grade. I still can't believe that I can put those pants on. It's like, holy cow, where did that come from?
And when you're folding clothes, are you like, whose are these? And you hold them up.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, whose pants are these? These can't be mine. I mean, no, I'm still this big. I'm as big as a house, but no, it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and it does, since we've been since you've been very open about this journey of yours, it's all out there for everyone to see on his X account. But you're shrinking away. And it's just melting off of you, and it's noticeable, at least to us, especially because you'll show like before and after pictures. Are you getting people coming up to you and commenting? Are they asking what you're doing?
Well, yeah, a good friend of mine that I teach with, I hadn't seen her in probably about 2 weeks because we're in different parts of campus, and she's been busy. I've been busy. I went to the library today to get some books. She goes, "Dang, what happened to you? You're disappearing before us." I looked down, I'm like, who, me? Really? Because I still don't always see it, but everyone, it's nice when people say it, because you look at yourself every single day and you don't always notice it, but it was a great feeling. Like, yeah, I'm definitely doing something right finally.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling when people say something to you. I used to get the, you're gonna wither away to nothing, and it's like, oh, no. I got goals. I'm not going anywhere. So it's good. And you're not gonna cease to exist, I promise. So, what do you think has been the biggest change? What things have you implemented that have been like the biggest change that are making it kind of stick? I mean, I really feel like I said, I've been watching you for, has it been like 3 years
Been
since you?
just over 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been watching you for like 3 years, and it's gone up and down and up and down. But this time I feel like it's there. Like it is clicked. You're like totally focused on it. You're zoned in. Something is different there. Like, you're not trying to squeeze the thing in, like this little bit of this thing's gonna be okay, and this little bit of this, like all of that's gone. And I'm fascinated by it. Something changed in your head. What was that?
Oh, I think it was one of the biggest things is that I was not talking. As you had said once before, is that you're awfully quiet. What's going on? And I was just, I know this is audio, but I was tight-lipped. I wasn't telling anybody because I'm a people pleaser, don't want to disappoint. But that was also my biggest downfall. It's like, oh crap, I'm struggling and I'm not saying a word. And that's been the biggest thing, is that I'm learning to actually open my mouth and speak when I need some help. And that's really been the biggest thing, is that I'm okay with saying, oh, I'm screwing up, I need some help, I don't know what to do with this situation, what can I do? That's probably been one of the biggest things, is asking for help when I need it, instead of just trying to do it on my own. That pick yourself up by your bootstraps just doesn't work for me. I have to have somebody to keep me going. And that's why I appreciate being able to text you anytime I need to, because it's helped a lot.
That's awesome. I'm just happy to be with you while you're on your journey. So I love that it's brought us together. So you send me pictures of trains and airplane. So, you get me.
Yeah. I mean, when that B-52 flew over my head as I'm going to my classroom today, I'm like, oh, that's going to Robin right now.
Yeah, and I totally appreciated it. So,
And my
that's
kids are
cool.
like, what? Like, are you taking a picture of another airplane? Yes, I am. Just deal with it.
My friend likes them. Shut up.
Yes. And next year at my new school, I'll be right along the flight line. So I'll be hearing them all day long. And I'm not even a little bit mad about it.
I just wanted to mention and just kind of double back on what you said is that accountability. Like, it's so important. You're not the only person that does that. Like, everybody does that. You're doing something really, really well. You're chugging along, and then there's this little tiny slip, and then all of a sudden it's a completely like quiet fall off. I'm never saying anything. And I always say when somebody's quiet, that's when they need the most help. So just being in an accountability group is such a good thing for that. So I am glad that we have that together, and it's been useful for me as well. Just being able to share and notice these little nuanced things. So I always like to say that when we do these recordings is that, if anybody ever needs any help, any one of us is here for you. So don't be quiet about it. Contact us and let us know, and we can help you, because sometimes it's just having somebody to talk to that understands. So Natalie, do you have a question?
I do have a question for Tim. I'm curious, when you started slipping, what did you go back to? What was your crutch that or did just everything start slipping in? And then when you started deciding, like, oh my God, I've got to really, get on the bandwagon and get myself together here, get my life together. Like, let me do this. What did you change to get back to that? And why is it different this time?
Well, to answer the first part of that question is when I started this backslide that brought back almost 50 pounds it was everything. It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just, I'm still a sugar addict. I have to be very careful around it. And that's something I'm gonna have to do the rest of my life. But it was just a matter of, I didn't give a shit. I just really didn't care. I was just, I'm gonna eat what I want. Don't care. Gonna do what I want to do. And it just steadily creeped back up. And it wasn't until I had that rock bottom, like, what the hell am I doing, that I had to make a change. So when I made the change, I went back to NSNG, low carb, and that's been the huge help. I don't want to say it's eliminating whole food groups, but it's been getting rid of the thing that was really making me fat, sick, and nearly dead. I know it's a movie, but that really was very close to what it was. Is I was diabetic again, and I know it's pre-diabetic, but let's just say what it is. When you have an A1C over 6.1 or whatever it was, you're diabetic. You just don't have the insulin. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. My grandfather died from complications of diabetes. My biological dad has circulation issues in his feet. And my grandfather also had heart disease. He'd have a heart transplant in his 50s. And I was heading down that road, and I can't put my family through that. I can't not be present for them. I can't be that person that is a burden to somebody else. I got to get it together and not let my son go down the same track, because I don't want him to have the struggles I had. So if he can see me fighting back and doing better, that's great.
And with that, what would you say, what was your plan when you were like, that's it, I'm going to do this? Did you say, today I'm just not going to do anything? What made you stick with it to get through that sugar cravings? Like, I know what I had to do. Maybe it can help somebody else, maybe listening, that says, oh, so he wrote down everything. Or maybe, my wife went on this journey with me. Like, how did you get to that? Because day one is the hardest, right? Like, to not have that sugar knocking at your door. And then when you think you're over it, you're like, oh, I'm good, I can totally handle it. All of a sudden sugar creeps back in there and says, no, you need me again. And you have to be strong enough and have your heels dug in to know that it's not the way. So if you wouldn't mind, tell me about that.
Well, the first thing I did was I started on a Monday when I'm in school because I don't have time to think about it. It's just I'm go, go, go all day. And that's the best time for me. It was the best time because I didn't have time to think about, oh, I want a cookie or I want a candy bar. It's nope, I don't have time. I was just gonna teach my first two classes, have my lunch that I pre-packed, teach my next two, go home. And that really was a huge help. And just not having the stuff there, like getting rid of all that crap that was in the file cabinet and the stuff that was hidden in the house, it's gone. And just not buying it again was a huge help. Now, of course, got a few things for my kid, but he doesn't really do a ton of sweets either. So it's kind of nice. And that was really how I was able to get past it quickly, is eat extra servings of meat, stay away from, basically almost kind of went carnivore. I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I mean, I'll eat them if I want them, but I don't be like, okay, got to have my steak, got to have my broccoli, and get those food groups. If I don't want it, I don't eat it. I just have the meat, and it's worked. I maybe have sometimes dabbled a little too much cheese, but we've had that conversation. But I'm from Wisconsin. I can't help it. It's in my DNA.
And we've talked about that you're a school teacher. Do your kids come up and ask you, Mr. Mallien, what are you doing? Do they ask you how you eat, or are they curious?
Well, they know how I do because I've told them. When we had Christmas time, I said, hey, if you guys want to get me something, you never have to. I mean, a card, just a handwritten note, a hug is perfectly fine. But if you get me something, I would really appreciate you not getting me anything that's sweet, anything that's snacky. I will not eat it. I greatly appreciate the thoughtfulness, but I would really appreciate if you didn't do that. And they're like, well, why? And I kind of told myself, well, look, I'm eating this low carb, basically carnivore, and those kind of things trip me up. So I don't want to have the temptation. If you give it to me, it's going to go to the custodians, and I'm not going to eat it. So save your money and don't do it. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. So they've seen the change. It's kind of funny. I wish I could show you a picture with one I took with one of my kids, but I don't want to break confidentiality because it was like beginning of the year, and then towards the end it's like holy cow, she's gotten bigger, height wise I should say. She's gotten taller and I've gotten narrower. So it's kind of a cool transformation to see. And they're pretty supportive about it.
I was scrolling back because of the question that Natalie asked. I was scrolling in your X. So for those who don't know, he's at Fleeing 400 on X. And I guess so this was like a January 1st resolution for you, because you posted like a video of yourself, and you had like is that
where I was?
Yeah, and then like you were writing down. Are you still doing all those things? Like the little tricks and tactics that you use that keep you focused and dedicated. So
yeah,
sharing your weight once a week, and then what are the other things?
Yeah, let me pull them up because I can't remember what all I said. I write so much I don't remember all the time. I have it pinned. Let's see. I had that goal of being under 300 by January 17th. I did make that one. It said be at or below 250 by June 27th. I probably won't make that one. I mean, if I do, I do. Great. Even if I don't, that's okay. It's not.
I love that attitude, because we've had that conversation before where putting a number goal down, there's too many factors that can get in the way. So I'm glad that you have a little leniency with it. It's good to have the goal, but it's good that you understand that too.
It's where I want to be, but I mean, if I fall short, I fall short. I mean, I can't. We've talked about healing from the inside out. It has its own time frame, and I can't always control what it does. I mean, there are some weeks where I have a 5-pound loss, and some weeks it's 1. Sometimes it's up 1. It's just it's different every week, and that's okay. Let's see. My steps for success. I followed your lead and bought a daily planner to log exercise and measurements. I didn't really use the planner much. I did it for about a month and a half, but it became kind of a burden, so I stopped doing that. Let's see. The life into living days, as Vinnie Tortorich calls it, was my birthday, Mardi Gras, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Pretty much stuck to that for the most part. I stick consistently to that so far, aside from a few other days. But for the most part, it's been eat my meat, eat my vegetables, eat my little bit of dairy, and I'm good. The big one was checking with our group and and speaking up when I'm struggling, because keeping my mouth shut was, when I was struggling over the last school year, was a fool's errand. It did not work, and it made things worse. One of the thing, other part was is to get to continue with my creative side of photography and writing as outlets. So I've not had time to do much photography, but I plan to do some when I go up north in a couple weeks, and then over the summer, just get out there, take pictures. I actually have been doing a lot of free sessions just because the money's not the most important thing for me. For me, it's about making a product for somebody else and doing something that I enjoy doing, give them something they can cherish forever. And it's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping to maybe have that next state champion photo like I had a couple years ago.
That was something I was going to ask about, because, you've talked about how stressful work has been, and it's just been really hard. So what are your outlets for stress?
Well, it's not food anymore.
Well, right. That's the question, right? It used to be food was your best friend that you would turn to whenever things were hard. So how do you replace that best friend with a new best friend?
Well, so, we'll take the dogs for a walk. That'll be one thing, is getting that movement in. Doing my photography, that's really been a help. And those have probably been the biggest two. And then just communicating as well. Like when I'm stressed, I don't keep it to myself anymore. I will say, hey, I'm stressed. This is what's going on. Like, I think instead of internalizing what I'm feeling, I'm learning slowly to actually speak out and actually say, hey, this sucks, for lack of a better term. And that's really been the biggest thing, is not internalizing it and keeping it to myself, because then I'm dwelling on it, and that doesn't help anybody, and it just made me miserable.
Yeah, I'm sure. And again, that's another thing. You're not alone there, but it's such a good thing that you figured it out now. Like you said before, you were pre-diabetic. You were having those symptoms. Even if you didn't feel them, it was happening at a cellular level. And every time that happens, you're doing damage that you'll feel years down the road. So it's very good that you've caught it where you are now at your age, where you can have all of this healing. That's the effects that you may have had. You're going to stop it and reverse it right now. So you're not going to have those anymore. You earlier mentioned your wife. Is she doing this with you? I feel like you said she was.
She is, yep.
So how is she doing?
She has lost just over 60 pounds. She's doing fantastic.
That's amazing. So did she just start this at this restart for you, or had she been dabbling in it?
She started a little bit before I did, and then she's just been killing it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it makes it a lot easier when someone else in the house is doing it.
Yeah, about 8 months ago, September.
Yeah. So what was her hesitation in getting started?
I think kind of the same thing. We're just stressful job and didn't want to deal with it. So but it was that I'm not happy with how I look and how I feel, so I'm going to make a change. It's amazing how when you finally decide you're sick of feeling like crap, you can make that change quickly, and it sticks. But it is sometimes easier to just say I'll be fat and happy when you're really not fat and happy, but you tell yourself that. That's a lie that you tell yourself a lot, and it's probably the worst one you can tell. And I've thought about it. I'm like, oh, whatever. But then I realized I've got more to live. I've got more life to live for myself. I've got a family to take care of and make sure I'm there for. And I got students that, for all intents and purposes, they're my kids too. And they all deserve my best.
And you deserve your best. It's very important to hear that as well. It's awesome that you focus on the other people in your life, but you deserve your best.
Now, I'm a people pleaser, so it's kind of the attitude I have, and I'm trying to change it, but it's hard. It's hard to change 40 years of how you're wired.
Sure, yeah, but you're doing it.
Yeah,
you're working on it
slowly.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Do you have an exercise plan, or do you just focus on food at this moment and maybe that will come later? You don't care about that, or
focus on food. And I always get my step. If I don't take the dogs for a walk, I at least make sure I get my step goal every day. Like I always close all my rings on my Apple Watch. So that's the biggest thing, is getting that activity in. My plan is this summer, is once school's out, is to start getting back to the gym and start lifting again. Just right now is not the time to start that. I can give that a couple weeks and I can do that later. That's the plan for now.
Filling up boxes, moving the boxes, doing yard work, that all counts.
Oh yeah, I've been doing a ton of yard.
I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because I know that this is happening and I'm hopeful that you'll talk about it. But I know that you've had hip surgery, right? Hip?
Mhm.
Knee. That was several years ago and that it's been hurting you again and you're going through this process again. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is actually kind of the catalyst that really led to the depression that got me to 376. So I'll backtrack probably about 15, 16 years back to college. And back in about 2007, I was doing my clinical rotation and I was tired of being fat. I was probably about 325, 330, and I was just miserable. So I went on a diet. It was Metafast. That probably the worst thing ever. I did not last long on it, but I dropped like 40 pounds like that because it was a white knuckle and it was awful, but I got results and I was able to start running because I love to run. I had so much fun doing it. Like I would get out every morning and run 2 to 3 miles, and it was my outlet. It was my stress remover, and I loved it. So I ran up until I graduated from college and moved to Louisiana. And then I had a bad school year. It was my first year and it did not go well. So I kind of let that go to the wayside. And then a couple years went by and I started running again in 2016 after my son was born, because I was like, I can't be a fat dad. So early 2016, I did a couch to 5K, started running, absolutely loved it again. Ended up getting like me and 2 other people ended up running together every Saturday. But then in the summer of 2017, we were going to South Padre. That's near Brownsville, Texas. We were in the car for 9 hours, got it unloaded, and the next morning I couldn't walk. And I was like, well, maybe I pulled something. I was in horrible pain. I was like, well, maybe it was just me pulling something. I'll be okay. Well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. That ended up being where my hip gave out. So I have what's called a cam deformity. Basically, instead of having a smooth ball and socket, the hip ball it's bumpy. So as it's moving in the socket, it's just tearing cartilage away. So when that happened, that was the last of the cartilage going out, and I was bone on bone. So I didn't know that at the time. So I'd spent another 2 or 3 months running. And actually, it wasn't until I did my second half marathon in November that I found out that the hip, that joint was gone. So that was devastating. I was told you can't run again and you're gonna have to have a hip replacement. I was 32 years old and it was absolutely crushing. And I decided we were just about to move houses. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do this now. My son had just turned 2. And I asked the doctor, I said, do I have to have this now? He says, no, we can give you some anti-inflammatories and we can try and push it off. Well, I made it about a year and a half. And finally, after the 2018 school year, I was miserable. I was grumpy. I said, okay, let's do it. So summer of 2019, I had my left hip replaced at the ripe old age of 34 years old. And that was kind of, I don't want to say it was the beginning of the end, but it was at that point where I was basically, I can't ever run again. I got really depressed and I got really, really fat because of it. And I kind of coasted for about 2.5 years. When I finally had that rock bottom moment in 22 and I made the change, that things started to do better. And, every pound you lose is great, less pressure on the hip. But probably about 2-3 months ago, I started noticing that my other hip was starting to hurt. And I had been warned that you'll probably have to have that one replaced at some point. Well, over Easter, I went to the orthopedist because I was like, something's not right here. I have a feeling it's time. And we took x-rays and doctor took a look at it. He says, yeah, it's time to get that one replaced too. But the good news is this one is nowhere. It's not an emergency, a dire emergency situation like the last one was. It's that I can do a lidocaine injection, which I'm going to do at the end of May before we go. I take Connor to Wisconsin for a week. And I'm basically my goal now is to lose that last 80 or so pounds so I can get under 200 and have the surgery next summer. because I don't know how familiar you are with hip replacement surgery. Is that the old way? They would go through your butt. It was called the posterior, and it was very, you had a lot of restrictions. You basically had to be super careful when you were after the surgery, because you could basically break. I don't know if you could break the implant, but it was just, you had to be super careful. Well, I had anterior lateral approach. So can I stand up and show you with my leg what it means? Will I be able to see? Okay. Oop.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So when you do the anterior, my first surgery, anterior approach is right here. But because I was so big, they had to do a lateral approach on the side. If you're under 200 pounds, they do it right here through the front of your quad, and the recovery time is like 4 weeks, whereas the anterior lateral is about 6 to 8. So by getting under 200, you have less fat around the quad, where it's a much easier surgery and a much, much faster recovery. So now it really is game on to get that last 80 pounds down, so I can get the surgery in a year.
Well, you're locked in. I don't think you're going to have any problems doing that.
No, I don't think so either. I'm
just keep with
definitely locked
consistency.
in now,
Yeah, definitely.
because I know how good I feel from it.
Yeah, that too. I mean,
As weird as that was, because after having a hip replacement, you're like, oh, it hurt. Does it hurt? It's a different hurt, because the hurt I was feeling after the surgery was the incision, and they moved the muscles aside to put the implant in. But once that healed, it was like the pain is gone. Like, I've not had any pain in that implant since then, and now the doctor said that implant looks as good as the day it was installed, which is a gift, because I was worried that getting up to almost 400 pounds, that there's going to be damage to it. He's like, nope, your implant looks great. You're taking good care of it, and losing weight's just going to prolong the lifetime of that hip, but you may not have another replacement for at least 30 or 40 years.
Now, I'm sure intuitively that you shouldn't hold extra weight when you've had a hip implant, but did the doctors ever say anything to you about maintaining weight or anything like that for the health of that procedure?
Not really. They did say that they said the less weight, the more weight you lose, the better it's going to be on the implant long term. It basically will make it last longer. That was what I was told. But as you know, as time goes on, the bone grows around it, and the stronger those bones are, the stronger the implant remains, and the less pressure's on it, it's going to stay strong for much longer. And they're doing cool new things, I guess, with I want to say cobalt. It's not steel, but it's a very strong metal. So it's a great implant, and I'm hoping the next one will be just as good, because I actually changed doctors to this one. It's one closer to home that my brother-in-law recommended, and the guy's awesome. So I'm looking forward, as weird as it sounds, to getting that taken care of by someone I like.
Well, you want to have confidence in the person that's going to be doing surgery on you. So that's a good thing. It's not weird to look forward to something. You're in pain. Look forward to not having that pain anymore. There's nothing weird about that. I'm completely confident that you're going to be able to have the surgery that you want. And it's going to be interesting to hear the difference between the recovery is afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. Well. Not to get gross, but I had a vasectomy the November of 2023. It was 22 or 23. It was whenever I had just been on NSNG for a bit. They had said that you're going to be sore, you're going to be uncomfortable for at least a week after your surgery. You're going to be laid up on the couch for days with an ice pack, and I never was. Like, I had just a little bit of discomfort at the incision, but there was no swelling. There was no discomfort. I was like, did I even have this surgery? It was very interesting how not being inflamed because of sugar and grains and all that really did make a huge difference. It was just really interesting that all the things they said would happen didn't.
And you hear that all the time. There are medical procedures. Doctors exist for a reason. A lot of us in this space kind of shy away from certain things, but having to have surgery is a thing that needs to happen, and it needs to be done by a doctor. But the research that they have, the procedures that they have, everything that they're following is for this generally unhealthy population. So I hear that all the time. People who are eating low carb or keto or whatever, that they're all the things they warned them about, none of them happened because you've managed your inflammation. Matt just had knee surgery. The very next day, he was able to bend the knee that had the surgery exactly the same as he bent the knee that didn't have surgery, and they were floored. They were like, "You have the same range of motion." It's like, yeah, he doesn't have any inflammation, and that healing just happened really fast. He got released very quickly. I presume the same will happen for you.
Yeah, because
You'll exceed the timeline that they give for you.
yeah, because last time I did it, I was always the first one they went to because everyone else on the ward was 60, 70, and 80. And like, oh, let's get the 34-year-old here. He'll be fine. No, I was so inflamed that I was in horrible pain. I remember just going home, be like, oh my God, this is brutal. And I felt bad for my wife because I was just useless for 3 or 4 days afterward. And I'm thinking, hopefully this time that walker will be gone by day 2. But I promise I'll be careful. I will make sure that I'm being smart about it and not being a dumbass, so to speak. Because that was when I asked the doctor, I said, what are my restrictions after the surgery? He says, don't be a dumbass. And I'm like, yes, sir, I can handle that. I will definitely make sure I'm smart about it.
That is profound medical advice.
It was the best advice I've ever gotten.
And I don't think your wife will let you do anything too over the top while you're healing.
She'd kick my butt if I tried anything stupid.
So I have no doubt that you're going to get this done and be like, what did I wait for? Why did I wait so long? Because you're going to feel so good, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just crazy how when you said the pain is gone, you don't realize the pain you had until it's gone. And that totally was it. And I just thank God that, this side has to be replaced, but it's nowhere near as what it was before. I mean, it's just, it's like a dull ache. It's not unbearable. I mean, I don't recommend it being something you deal with all the time, but it's kind of manageable. And I'm hoping once I get that lidocaine shot that I'll be able to sleep a little better. Cause that's the biggest thing. The biggest issue I'm facing is sleep, is quality sleep, because, it took me a while to realize why I wasn't sleeping. Is because my hip hurts. It doesn't hurt bad, but it's just enough where I'm uncomfortable. I got to change my position to get comfortable again, and then fall back asleep. And if you're doing that 4 or 5, 6 times a night, you're not sleeping well. And that was, once I figured that out, that's kind of helped a lot too.
It's good that it's not at a point that it's so bad that you don't have the time to lose the weight.
Exactly.
Also.
I mean, I could go get the surgery tomorrow and get the anterior lateral approach and be just fine, but I'd rather wait a little bit and do it right, like really right, and have a faster recovery and still have my summer. I know it sounds selfish, but I want to sit by the pool this summer and relax a little bit, enjoy it.
You earned it.
Oh, for 100%.
So any other great things on the horizon for you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm moving schools, so I'm making the plunge from 5th grade to 7th grade, which I don't know if I'm crazy or if I'm the smartest man alive. I'll let you know in a couple months, but I'm really excited. That's to go from elementary to middle. It's going to be a huge change. I know it's going to be a little bit stressful, but at the same time, it's really exciting. Like, I'm super pumped to be able to make a change after teaching the same thing for 16 years, to make a change for the good, for the better, work with new people, and I get to teach my kids that I've taught before. So I'm really looking forward to that. I got my keys the other day, met my team. Now I'm just counting down the days that I'm get out of my toxic school and move to where I'm going to be a little bit happier. And even if it's not going to be perfect, no school is, but it's going to be I know it's going to be a great move, because it was just, the pieces all fell in a way that if it wasn't meant to be, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. Just, hearing your conversations about it, in our talk. I mean, you going back and forth for so long, and then you immediately just relaxed, I think, when you said, this is what I'm doing. Like, when you finally made your decision, it changed It just changed everything. It changed your demeanor completely. So
Oh
I think
yeah.
that was a help.
And then when the state of Louisiana changed their licensing requirements for January 1st, that, I was licensed in Wisconsin to teach first through eighth grade. But for the past 15 years, my license said 1.5. Well, all of a sudden they went back and retroactively changed it for anybody that's certified out of state 1.8. And now I don't have to do anything. I can just show up day one and teach. I don't have to worry about any extra practice tests, nothing. I can just go teach. And if that's not a God thing, I don't know what is. Because it was just perfect timing all around. So yeah, that really has helped change my demeanor a lot. It's like this was meant to be.
I agree with you. You hemmed and hawed, but once you finally made your decision, it was the right one. I firmly believe that. And yes, all the stars aligned and all the right things happened, and it's going to be great. I do say, however, that it takes a very special person to teach middle school.
Yeah, well, for all intents and purposes, my kids are middle schoolers now. I hear I get the brain rot words. They go and they slap the door frames. These kids I got now are preparing me for what's about to come.
Yeah, you say things in our chat, and I'm like, I have no idea what he's
I do
talking
it I do it just because it's funny, because I'm like, this is the words I hear.
It is not the world that I live in, but it's sad. I don't understand why the language is changing, but I mean, I guess we all had our little terms, but it seems like it's like off the rails right now with.
Oh yeah, my TikTok is now blowing up with middle school teachers and their kids' brain rot. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be me soon. I can start my own series.
This is my future. Right, there you go. You can start working on that brand right now.
Yeah, low carb brain
journal
rot.
It from day one. Put it out there.
So Tim, at the end of the show, we ask each guest a question. But before that, do you want to share where people can find you and connect with you on socials?
Okay, so I have my two big ones. Well, I should say one is big-ish. The other is it's kind of small. Is on X. Twitter is at Fleeing 400. That's where I usually post all my weight loss stuff. I post some photography stuff because I'm trying to, I follow a bunch of photographers that are like, hey, quote this. So I love sharing some of my photography there. And then Instagram is where I'm at. It's at Mallien, Mallien. That's really the two places you can find me. Facebook, you might find me, but if I don't know you, I'm not going to take your friend request. But on the X machine, everyone's welcome.
All right. Well, I will be sure to add all of that into the show notes as well, so everybody can see your journey, because the before and afters that you've been posting all along, but then especially this past few months have just been incredible. And again, it's another one of those accountability things. So somebody can connect with you and seek you as an accountability partner. We're all in this thing together. So yeah.
Hey, y'all have helped me. I'm happy to pay it forward and help somebody else, because my success is the people that have helped me up success. And I want to make sure that people that have struggled and know that they're not alone, because this village of people they saved my life. Let's be honest. I mean, I did the work, but if it wasn't for the people that I surrounded myself with, I would not be where I am. I probably would still be 376 and miserable.
I absolutely agree. You got to pay it forward. That's how this community works. That's why we have these conversations. It's all of that. We got to help each other out, because a lot of people are trying to do this on their own, and that is hard. So you're not alone. We're out here. You just gotta ask for a follow or a friend invite or whatever, and you'll have all the support in the world in any one of us. So we end our conversations with a question. So here it comes. What key insight would you want to share that would help others write their keto biography?
Oh, so you didn't ask a hard question at all there. The biggest insight that I would offer is that you have to be real with yourself. Is that when you're in denial that things are great, when they're not, you are just lying to yourself, and you're never going to turn it around. So you have to have those uncomfortable conversations within yourself, and writing them down, even if nobody ever sees it. That's going to help you a lot, because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're never going to change your life. And if you're struggling, speak up. Don't internalize it. Don't do what I did. Speak up. Tell somebody, even if it's to anonymous people on Twitter, do it, because at least then you know somebody will see it and can say, hey, I got an idea that can help you. Or you may make a friend like Robin Dobbins who will give you a kick in the ass when you need it, and then it's all hands on deck and here we go. Let's do this.
It's my specialty. We all have a thing. That's my thing. I am going to refer back to that episode 5 of Loss and New Success Stories, because we had a question that we asked there, and your answer was like, we asked for one thing and you had like 5. You're like, I'm going to give you 5 things. So you narrowed it down to 3 this time. That's pretty awesome.
Maybe
next
time I'll get down to 2. I'm a wordsmith, so
you
probably
love
never.
Words. Where I struggle with words, you love them. So that's good.
Words are so hard, but I sometimes can pull off some bullshit and it sounds great.
Well, Tim, it's been lovely catching up with you, and just where you were when we talked just over a year ago compared to where you are now are just so completely different, and you have so much great stuff ahead of you. It's just been exciting to watch. So y'all, if you don't know Tim, go follow him on his socials, because he's quite inspirational. So, I was hopeful. I was crossing my fingers that we'd be celebrating a 100 with you, but you're so close. I'm still celebrating with you at what did you say, 92?
Just 93.4.
There you go. So you are awfully close. I know we'll be celebrating soon, so everybody should follow so you can join the celebration when it's going to be
a big one. There's going to be lots of brisket.
Yes, I love that idea. Let's celebrate with brisket. That sounds good. I have some prime rib in the freezer that I want to smoke, so maybe I'll pull that out and smoke a prime rib to celebrate with you.
Score. That sounds great.
I'm not sharing. I'm just going to tell you that I'm eating a smoked prime rib in celebration of your success.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Wisconsin and eat some good bratwurst while I'm up there.
There you go.
That's celebration.
That's a good thing too. Yep. So, well, again, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you on behalf of Natalie, Tim, and myself. Thank you for joining us on Ketobiography. Bye.